Hello and welcome back to A Method to the Madness, Breaking Bad edition. I'm your host Patrick, and joining me is Mitchie.
Hello.
And today we're covering Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 11, Confessions. Yeah, I mean, shit is just continuing on from last episode about the feud between Hank and Marie versus Walt and Skyler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an episode about confessions.
It sure is. Alright, let's go into a plot summary. Can you read that out?
Mm-hmm. Hank tells Jesse during interrogation that he knows Walt is Heisenberg. Jesse refuses to cooperate and is released after Saul shows up. Walt and Skyler meet Hank and Marie at a restaurant. The Whites try to convince the Schraders to keep their children out of the situation, but the Schraders refuse to comply. As the Whites leave, Walt gives his in-laws a DVD of his confession. Playing it at home, Hank and Marie discover they are being blackmailed. Walt's confession states that Hank masterminded the Heisenberg empire and forced Walt to cook meth for him. A stunned Hank then learns that Marie paid for his physical therapy using Walt's drug money, which Skyler had claimed were gambling winnings. This lends credence to Walt's story and ruins Hank's credibility. Walt meets Jesse in the desert and tells him that Saul can contact someone who specializes in creating new identities, advising him to take such an opportunity. Jesse reacts angrily, asking Walt to stop trying to manipulate him. Jesse then agrees to leave. While Jesse is waiting for the van that will relocate him, he notices his marijuana was pickpocketed by Huell and concludes that Huell must have pickpocketed the rice and cigarette from the past as well. Jesse returns to Saul's office and physically attacks him, holding him at gunpoint and demanding to know about his role in Brock's poisoning. Saul admits to his involvement in the plot, but insists he had no idea what Walt's intentions were. And enraged, Jesse breaks down the door to Walt's house and begins to pour gasoline on the floor. End of episode.
All right. So we begin with Todd telling his uncle and his friend about the train heist.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And we get the detail that apparently this was the most profitable train heist in history, potential money-wise.
Really?
Well, that's what Todd says, isn't it?
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, and apparently Walt said that to him.
Yep.
So, I mean, you know, it's it's fictional, but there you go. It's the biggest train heist in history in the Breaking Bad world, apparently, which is pretty cool, you know?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What can you steal from a train that would be more profitable?
Yeah, unless it was carrying like solid gold or something. I can't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And that's pretty heavy. You wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I guess it's right. Yeah, this is a good scene, eh? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of a really random intro. Like, they don't show up anywhere in this episode, I don't think. This is the only time, right?
Yeah.
And we've obviously well established who they are, but I don't know. Just and they don't talk about anything really that meaningful, but just that bathroom scene where he wipes the blood off his boot and just flushes it down the toilet. Like, you know, there's obviously a lot of focus on that, and yeah, it just again shows how brutal they are. Like, these guys kill for a living.
And they're just like talking about typical Nazi stuff, like, oh, what's happened to this country, you know?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's good, actually.
They're like, oh, what, you know, there's no more ashtrays in airplanes. What the hell?
Yeah, like kind of like just almost old-fashioned opinions, though.
Yeah.
Like, you could imagine a boomer saying that or something.
You know, not to stir any pots, but that is kind of like far right kind of talk, you know, like very, very you know, that's what conservative means, right? Like sort of
old-fashioned.
Nostalgic about like how things about the past, and not necessarily regressive, but you know, just not progressive is anyway.
It kind of shows you how close, really, even though neo-Nazism is very extreme, kind of shows you how close it could be to people in society, you know. And there's only a few little things, a few little details in the opinion differences, and that's what creates a neo-Nazi, you know. Yeah. It's not like all the way some crazy ridiculous thing. It's, and I don't know, it's kind of scary. Yeah.
Okay, and then we get to the actual episode. Flynn is about to leave because Marie's trying to lure him to their house, as Walt puts it, which is a funny way to say it. And then he quickly thinks of a reason to keep Flynn there, and like he totally incepts this idea into Flynn, because you know he says like, oh, you know, my cancer's back. I just want you to know that, but okay, off you go to Marie, and then it's Walter Jr.'s decision to stay there.
Oh my god, it's so manipulative.
Yeah, I know, like, and it's so clever. He, you know, as I said, like he incepts it, which is not what he does with Jesse later on. when he's telling, he meets them out in the desert, and then Jesse gives him the information about how Hank's looking into him, and then he just straight up, he thinks he's sly probably, how he's like, oh, if I was you, I would just start over. And yeah, obviously Jesse gets very angry at that because he can, he doesn't incept. He can trace the idea back to Walt, and which is why he's probably angry and opposed to it, right? It's because Walt suggested it. Yeah. Which he might have, done either way. Is taking the clean slate thing. But yeah, man, when he hugs Jesse, we really don't know what he's thinking at this point. Like, because Jesse's like, drop the concerned dad act, and then it seems like Walt, as if he's saying like, oh, this is not our act. I really care about you. But like, he's obviously clearly trying to manipulate him. So this is probably the most opaque his intentions have ever been, I reckon. Yeah.
It's just kind of sad it took this long for Jesse to kind of confess almost that he knows about his manipulation, like, and also the fact that Walt thinks he's stupid enough to
he's gullible,
believe him. But he's not. Also, great acting from Aaron Paul.
Yeah,
it was really good in this scene.
Aaron Paul in this episode, he's just like, as you said a couple episodes ago, he's like really distressed, and that just keeps escalating throughout this episode. Like, he's
Aaron
really
Paul's a fucking legend.
Yeah, he's really off the chain in this episode.
Dude, I reckon he could win an Oscar one day. Like, if he's got a big career ahead of him, I don't know. He's gonna be fucking famous one day. It depends. Maybe he doesn't want to be. I don't know. But if he does go down that route, he's gonna do well.
Yeah,
he's a fucking solid actor.
Well, yeah, and he takes cool roles as well, like Westworld and
he's so good in Westworld. Yeah, and it's all because of him as the actor.
You just love him because you love Westworld. Don't lie.
No, I think he kind of... I just love him as an actor. Like, everything he's in, he's good as. And, yeah, I don't know. He just has so much potential.
Keen. I agree. And then in that scene, when he's leaving Saul's office, we actually see he'll pickpocket.
Oh, like, really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, exactly. It's very subtle.
He did kind of bump into him, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, excuse me. And then you see...
Just such a weird voice, that dude.
Yeah. You see Hugh's hand go into Jesse's pocket and take it out. And it's it's really... For such thick fingers, they're really deft.
You wouldn't expect it. I guess that's the point.
Yeah.
Saul chose well.
I don't know. I feel like something you don't ever see just in movies or TV, like about people pickpocketing. Like, it's just something that's like, oh yeah, I pickpocketed this dude because I'm crafty like that. But you never, I don't know, they show it. And then...
But there's a good scene in the Silence of the Lambs sequel where Hannibal Lecter just straight up like lacerates some dude leg, but while walking past him, and you kind of see it happen, and then a dude just like fucking collapses and starts bleeding out on the ground and is dead within like 30 seconds. To highlight his efficiency. Yeah.
Did he cut the artery in his inner thigh?
Something like that. Yeah. He just obviously is a master killer. So anyway.
Yeah, and then, I feel like that would be pretty confusing for if you're a first-time viewer and you didn't see that detail of Huel reaching in to grab the weed.
I mean, I was actually confused this time watching it.
Exactly, and you're like, why is he pulling a gun on Saul? And then he kind of explains it all. Yeah,
because you there's no indication whatsoever. Like, he kind of doesn't go into the van after looking inside his pocket or something, and then he seems a little distressed. But yeah, if you're not like savvy at all, you wouldn't really realize. It's really good.
It's all visual storytelling. I just before this, I was watching a video about this YouTube channel called One Take. They talk about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, same with us, and they talk about how like Vince Gilligan just really tries to make a point about not using exposition or using it as little as he can. So, and then that's quite a hard thing to balance between being a writer and pleasing the executives of like the studio that your show is running on.
In general, it's just hard to tell a story visually.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people prefer the Nolan approach, and you just fucking say the whole story.
Yeah, because you run the risk of alienating your viewers if you lose them. But Vince Gilligan says, no, fuck that. My viewers are smart, and they'll be able to pick up on that.
And well, they don't need to be smart either, or no comment on intelligence of any audience at all. It's just like, it's like you watching it, you can be confused, but he explains it afterwards, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that's really hard to pull off well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about the lunch scene. Again, Walt, doing his master manipulator stuff. I love how, it's kind of weird how Walt frames his reasoning in quite a noble light, which is that he doesn't want to upset Walter Jr., and which, of course, frustrates Hank even more, because that's exactly what Walt does best and has been doing, right, is making himself seem like the victim. Yeah. And, he's very calm, and he's very kind of level-headed, as Hank goes, he blurts out, like, he'll find out when I bust in your door and arrest you. And he's like, all right, well, if that happens, so be it, like... Yeah. That's how you piss off someone when you're in an argument, right? Is like, if you're very calm about it and the other person is yelling, then the person who's yelling is just going to get more angry, right?
I never understood that logic. It's like, actually, it is the most sensible thing to be calm during an argument. But then if you're in those shoes, you kind of feel like a dick because you're pissing the other person off. But like, what are you meant to do? Start shouting as well? Like, it's just some weird kind of human characteristic, I guess. Just ultimately do want to fight. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's kind of Walt's like defense that he's always used. Yeah, and of course that would that really does piss Hank and Marie off.
It's they're so brutal. Yeah, like Marie just tells him to kill himself. Like, they got like, I don't know about you, but obviously I'm manipulated into feeling a little bit of sympathy for empathy more like for Walt and Skylar, because it's Breaking Bad, that's what the whole show's about. But I feel like Hank and Marie are a little bit kind of full on. Like, they're not even inquiring at all. And, well, is there any reason for this? Like, they're just straight up like, oh, he's a drug lord and he must be evil kind of thing, right? And to some degree, that's true. And we've seen it ourselves. Like, Walt is a bad person. He's done some really naughty, really nasty.
Walt's on the naughty list this year. Oh, boy.
He's not getting any presents. He's done some really nasty things, and, fair enough. But I don't know. I just feel like everyone kind of deserves a chance to be explaining themselves. And Hank's just like, nah, get this guy in jail. He's fucking evil, and I feel like that's actually quite toxic, that kind of opinion. Especially when they're family, why not give them a chance? Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'd do in that situation. None of us do, but it seems a little kind of cold from them.
Yeah, and it also certainly brings us more toward Skylar and Walt's side as viewers, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's weird, Hank and Marie they're kind of like the antagonist for this season, right? Like...
Yeah.
Like,
I guess, yeah.
Because, in season 1, you have Tuco, and then you have Gus Fring, and then you have Todd, and now it's Hank and Marie.
Especially since Walt was out, and then he gets brought back into it all. He was out, and, he's kind of sort of repented for his sins, I suppose. He's out and realized he's done the wrong thing, maybe. I don't know. But, like, yeah, you're right. Like, they do seem like villains now because they're dragging them all back into it when they were already out.
Yeah, exactly.
If he had kept doing it, it would be a different story.
And then they played the tape, the confession, so-called, more like blackmail, but yeah,
100%.
Now, what I'm confused about is why, when Marie reveals that they paid for Hank's rehabilitation with the drug money, and then Hank says that's the final nail in the coffin. Yeah. Why is that? Because in the description. Yeah, okay, this lends credence to Walt's story and ruins Hank's credibility. Is that why, he thinks it's the final nail in the coffin because it would make Walt's story believable? Or is it more because of, like, just legal stuff? Like, if Hank's rehabilitation was paid with drug money, that sort of incriminates him as well in some way? Is that it?
Well, that combined with the confession, because, there's no evidence on Walt at all about anything. If the police were looking at this and, the court, they would just see Walt making this total lie on this video, but they would, give some belief to it. And then they see that Hank got, he somehow got all this money for his payment because their insurance wasn't covering it, and they have to trace it back, and they're like, actually, it did come from drug money. Then they will be inclined to believe that.
Yeah, because it's like kind of I guess that's a piece of evidence that outweighs anything Hank has on Walt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's huge, and it's fucking great. Like story writing, like just set up so well. Like it's almost like this was all made before the show was made, but I don't know. But yeah, it's just crazy. Like it really is the last nail in the coffin. Like that fucks Hank up hardcore.
Yeah, another brilliantly creative solution for Walt to get Walt out of his predicament.
Yeah,
just another one in Breaking Bad's cap. Because God knows there's a lot of those, a lot of fucking weird creative solutions to weird creative problems.
And just creative like writing too.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And I don't know, like this is like totally evil, this video that Walt made.
It's so sinister, yeah. But
like I don't know, it's kind of like, we just discussed that Hank and Marie seem like the antagonists this season, and it's just like if you left them if you left them alone, and I understand where Hank and Marie are coming from, but if they knew the full picture and saw that Walt's out of the business, and he's not doing anything anymore, that's if they knew that, then they should just leave him alone to some degree. Like that could be one approach that they take, because otherwise they're just fucking themselves over, because if they try and get this out into the world, Hank will lose his job and all that. But obviously from their perspective, they're doing it for the the sake of justice and society, because we shouldn't have drug lords in society. But so I totally understand Walt doing this, because it just gets him off his back, and then hopefully it just all kind of simmers down. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's the best play too from Walt's perspective, is to prolong this, because the reason why Hank is so agitated and so hot-blooded is because he needs to resolve this quickly, right? Like the longer he leaves this, the less chance there is of incriminating Walt.
Yeah.
And as well, if that tape did work and Hank and Marie let down, then that's just time heals all wounds, man. If they just didn't talk for like a couple years and then eventually they did, they might reconcile. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I guess Hank is so committed to justice that he's almost willing to lose his own job and career for this. Because he must know that, if they truly convict Walt for this, he's going to obviously lose his job because it's his brother-in-law. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. And I also really like how the confession at the very start, when they start filming it before the scene where they all meet in a restaurant, he starts off by saying his address and his name. And I'm pretty sure it's almost identical to the very first scene in Breaking Bad when he makes his like confession on the tape, because he thinks he's going to die. And again, just another throwback, I guess, to the very start of the season, very much like how he buried the money in the desert last episode. And you could just feel that it's the end. It's the perfect conclusion. They're just tying it all back together and bringing it all back full circle, just exactly what makes Breaking Bad one of the best shows ever.
Yeah, good observation. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this episode.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen for the next one. This pretty hectic end.
Yeah, which one's Ozymandias? Is that 14?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, well, it's one of my favorites. It's one of everyone's favorites. It's the highest rated episode, I think.
Okay, I can't remember. I do know what happens in that.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, and join us next time.
See ya.
Junior has been through a lot already this year.
You are just...
This investigation, Hank, you realize what this will do to him, hearing these things.
He's gonna hear it when I kick in your front door and arrest you.
If that day ever comes, so be it. You have no evidence to support your claims. Why tear this family apart?
If you like this series, Mitch is going to tell you where you can find more of these.
Yep, so you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And we've also got a website, amttm.com, where you can find our fabulous episodes on Breaking Bad.
If you have any questions, queries, insights, or criticism, you can send them to mail@amttm.com.
And as always, thank you for listening.